finally we can cut back these spent flowers on our hydrangea. Look how far we've already gotten on this beautiful morning. A lot of new growth coming in. All of the old flowers are gone. Have a few more to do before we get ready and tackle the rest of the garden projects that we have for today.
That's true. But look at the difference now. They're really all coming. And the reason why we wait is because now you can really clearly see these green buds coming. And notice this one is the macrophylla. So this is the hydrangea that will flower on the buds from last year that it produced. So it's already in here. I can see already it's coming. If you come a little bit closer, that's the bloom coming there. So if I would go down and trim this, because I might feel I want to have a bushier plant, then it will have a beautiful green bush this year, but no flower. So what we actually do, if you see over here, we have some buds coming here. So I'll actually run just gently down to where that old flower stem is from last year, just like that. Not any further down, because then I'll get a real green, nice blooming bush with a bunch of flowers. But what we'll also do, like we go in and really check, is there any dead wood, like anything that's no buds on it. Then I run it all the way down. And is there any like broken branches, I'll remove. Like stuff like this, it's really just dead.
Yeah, and the reason why, once you get rid of all of that, you can see here, for example, see all of that new growth coming from the bottom. So this plant is going to love having the space, getting rid of some of that old wood. And also, look what's happening if you don't get rid of the flowers. So if you don't, they're going to get rid of them themselves, right? They're going to fall, they're going to break.
They are not pretty anymore.
It won't be the prettiest plant, but nature, the good Lord's going to take care of this himself.
And that's true. And if you also feel you have I did like the other year, I have a hydrangea that's really ratty looking, really big and not pretty. Then I can do a different way of pruning, is that I partially take some of the really older stems, the more really woody ones. Some you can really see which ones are the new growth. They're a bit more tender. So you could go in and partially take some of those really thick ones, or you could also choose a pruning where you prune it down to about 30 centimeters above the ground. That means you get a very green, really full, maybe not so tall, but a bit more bushy, compact. But that first year you need to be just aware, then you won't get any flowering. But these ones we just gently take the top.
Yeah, and we did that the first year. Remember, Lars, when we first put these in, we cut it back. Let me step out of here without stepping on all the things behind me. Mm-hmm. But because we added hydrangea by hydrangea by hydrangea, and then we also took down the shed that used to be here, there was a hole in it with that tree popping up through it. So then we just had to cut them all back because they were all different sizes. These, can you see the shorter ones there in front?
Look here.
Yeah.
They are coming though.
They're really doing well. We got them on a late summer sale. They were like 5 corners. So that's less than $1 a piece. They looked so sad, but
they actually just needed water, and they are really doing well. It came actually quite a lot up here. So this one is a little bit lower, but then again, we just have to be. I was right away telling Alan, let's buy some. But his idea, which is really great, just be patient. They will come up. Instead of paying so much money for full grown, it'll just take a little bit more time.
Exactly. So don't sleep on those late summer sales. You might find something.
All right.
So why don't we do a little bit more here, Lars, and then if we look right here in front, we have these dwarf butterfly bushes that we also need to take care of.
On our checklist, yes.
Yeah, and now's the time to do that because the fear of frost is more or less past. Technically it's until May, but historically we don't have any more frost. No. So, yay! Okay, so our dwarf butterfly bush is not very dwarf.
Not anymore. After one
it goes
growing.
up to your chest and you're like 182.
Thank you for telling everybody how short I am. No 182.
Sure, you're way taller than me.
That's true. Anyway, but now is the time here in April that we will really cut back the butterfly bush. This is like a dwarf butterfly bush. Butterfly candy, really cute. We have them in pink and in purple. Notice this one is actually the growth from last year. So it's really grown. And the good thing about these ones, you can really prune them hard back. So what I do, this one I'll show you here. I really make in here really heavy pruning because they have flower on the new buds. So you could actually be really tough and cutting anything between 30-40 centimeters from the ground and just cut these off, and then it will start setting new shoots really quickly. And these ones I don't just throw away because I love have them different places in the garden. And a great way to make free butterfly bushes is just taking to make cutting. So I take a stem here and then I remove the lower leaves just by using my hand. And then I want it to produce roots. So a bunch of the foliage here as well I also take, so it doesn't have too much foliage here, because I really want to create strong roots. Then I put it in a pot here, either potting soil or whatever you have from the garden. And then I put it around, notice around just at the edge, because then later on it's super easy to get out. I keep it watered, not over water. I don't want it to rot. Then I'll you can put a plastic bag over it with a hole in the top for high humidity, and I'll place it in the greenhouse. And then within around 6 weeks, then they have rooted, and I can take it out here and plant it directly out in the garden.
Okay, but we don't put a bag over ours.
No, it's high humidity, but if you don't have a greenhouse.
Well, it's not even high humidity, because as long as you keep that ground sort of moist, and they're not growing in high humidity out here. So no, I think it's a great option.
But I did some experiment, and the ones having a bag over with a hole in the top, and of course I take the bag off once in a while to check, but they are more likely to, I experience, to create roots a little bit faster when you really have that. It's very damp and just enclosed.
Exactly, because climate. That's the only option it has to get that moisture is through the leaves here at the beginning until it gets the roots. So that's the advantage of that higher humidity. But these are super easy to root. And my goodness, this shocks me every year that this happens.
But just keep an eye here, how far down, and then just within, I would say a few weeks, then it's already shooting again. And I check it, is there any dead ones? I remove totally, so it just looks pretty. But look,
and I love how you always say gently, and then you just go in,
right,
like you're Sweeney Todd.
Right. But here you can actually see where I cut here on the other side last year, so I'll just do that again, because I don't want to have it higher than the rhododendron there in the back. So
no, and it's supposed to be dwarf.
Right.
Why does it think it can get so tall?
Maybe because it's doing so well here and there.
But it is great to know that this one, compared to the hydrangea, comes from that new growth.
Yeah. And that'll also give a little bit air to the...
Wow!
It looks pretty dead, but trust me, it's
so
gonna
tiny.
come.
But this hydrangea behind us, we've already cut off the blooms on that too. So everybody is looking good in this area.
Yeah. And when I do the cuttings here, that'll be, by the way, a true copy of the mother plant. This is a
beautiful
pink one. Yeah, so that one goes in here.
Oh, and if you haven't seen any of the other cutting videos, the reason why they go around the edge is because once you start to pull them out, it'll be a lot easier. If you were to just stick everybody in the middle, those roots are really going to clump together, grow together, and then it's going to be super hard to separate them.
Okay, so we actually have a butterfly bush here, also a dwarf one, that has been in a pot. It is lower than the one out in the garden. And I actually it's a great time here now when it's in the growing season. I want it actually out of the pot, because the minus about having a bunch of pots, which we don't have so many of, is they will do better out in the garden in the ground, because then they can really search more for water and to get longer roots. Because these ones, it's in full sun, we have to tend to do much more watering. So I want it out and then have something else, because we're doing that display in front of the greenhouse, so we can use that one pot as well.
I'm very excited. And while Lars does that, I'll show you right next door our beautiful rosemary that is always in bloom. And we have cut it back as well. And this, you're technically not supposed to cut it back until after it blooms, but I couldn't wait. So I cut it back, when, like February?
I think so.
We didn't talk about it just in case we killed it, because we've never cut it back with intention. But basically, you don't cut it back on the hardwood. you cut it back on sort of the softer green, which I did. And then look, it's already started to branch out there along the sides. So there's 4 there. So each one of these where it's been cut has started to branch out. I'm super excited because this rosemary was just getting out of control, and it really wasn't liking being so big and massive. You see some of it was even browning, but it's always in flower. We use it quite often. We do like a good rosemary on our chicken.
And I just finished while you were chatting about. So see.
Oh, that's a much better size.
So, but now it's also, I trimmed it back first because then it's easier to handle. And then I'm gonna plant it out, make a hole here, see if I can, without stepping off on the tulips we have. And I actually see a crack, so I hope it's gonna work.
Yeah, this pot we got from one of our neighbors was moving like 6 years ago.
It has a big crack. I don't know if it's gonna work.
And
oh, look, the roots down there from it. It's grown out of the pot.
Well, you can't blame it, poor thing.
Okay, let's see if I can pull it out.
But yeah, the pot was free, so if you crack it.
Yeah, I can, maybe.
All right, Lux.
Okay.
You didn't say gently.
Talk about, no, I took myself in nothing, but look at the roots here. It's gonna be much happier out.
Yeah, he's ready to go.
Okay.
Can I grab the pot and film at the same time?
Whoa.
No, I can't. That's my left arm.
Okay. I'll move it. Oh, it's...
Oh, see, that was why. Okay. Whew. There's a lot of grunting today.
All right. Okay. Wow, we're behind the scenes here. Okay, let's go. Oh, look at that. Okay.
Uh-oh. Jeepers.
Move that though. And then I'll make a hole for that. That's going to be really pretty here.
While you dig a hole with our fabulous garden tool from DeWitt.
Yeah, right?
How do you say it? DeWitt or
DeWitt?
In Danish, right?
Yeah. But look at that.
I'm not Dutch. I wonder how they say it.
It's really...
It's from the Netherlands, yeah. Nice tools.
Yeah.
But look at all the color that's coming in. We'll have to show you around here in a minute. Oh, and you can keep.
Okay.
People think I'm so bossy. Look at the wisteria behind you, and we have new baby quails.
We got to show them. Actually, one I told Alan we have to start there. I rushed out. I thought it was yesterday. It was 16 days. They didn't come, and I thought, and they were all fertile. Is it called? Yeah, fertile.
I don't know if that's. I'm not an egg guy.
Anyway, we candled them, and there was 5 eggs, and there were 5 chicks inside. None of the chicks came yesterday, and we were with friends. I was like, oh no, I can't go. I have to stay home. But they didn't come. Then this morning, there was eggshells, and there's 5 chicks, so we have to show them.
Isn't that exciting?
They're so cute. That's why I wanted to start in the greenhouse, but we had more important things to do first.
Yes, because the chicks aren't going anywhere. So.
No, that's true.
And you see how long it takes us to dig a hole.
Because we're chatting, right? Okay, let's do this.
Look what else we found. So under here, if you guys remember from back when we first built this terrace, this house is Alba. The house is over 100 years old, and it was an old farm back here. And those were sort of they're called field stones here in Denmark. And that was what was all back here, we assume. Not when we moved in. When we moved in, there were just concrete pavers. But yeah, under the dirt, you'll find a lot of these field stones.
Okay, it totally fell apart here. It'll come though.
Well, this is a great time to do it.
Yeah. In growing season.
Yeah, it's not too intense yet. The temperature's nice, the soil is moist.
Get all the roots down. And then I won't plant it, and that's in general when I have a pot of some kind, not have it more down than the stem is here. And then of course, water here. I'm having a bit of a spring cold, that's why I feel like I'm out of breath.
I'm glad you mentioned that. You are a little out of breath, bless your heart.
Sore throat, but that's the thing when it's spring, you have the jacket off, then it's hot, then it's cold. And it's been like, not to make commercials for Danish weather, but we talk about the weather a lot. But it has been like 3 weeks of non-stop just sunshine.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Right. And then I give a little push here with my foot. Really, oh, another stone. Okay. I can already hear it scream like, thank you.
You may need to sit down, Lars. So winded. As I sit here so easily with the camera.
I'm in the garden every day, so
yeah.
I'm actually normally not so winded. Okay, here we go, we're gonna water it, then it's gonna be fine.
Great.
Yeah. Our lavender has actually not really come back. They are not doing well. They are totally died. I guess maybe also because we gave more healthier soil out here. So look, the ones in the back.
Yeah, that's what we're guessing, because when it was pavers, they were just in sand, wasn't much water, it got really warm.
And I can just pull them apart. So this one is totally, there's
then we
no
laid
growth in it.
the horse manure and the extra soil,
Yeah.
and they just got too rich and too wet. And
So this one just has to go.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to see what we do here instead. Could be that I had pruned it back too much, but there's only a tiny bit of growth. The rest is just totally nothing left. So these have to go, and we need to figure something else out over there.
Yeah, originally before the terrace came in, this whole wall was beautiful lavender and they were doing great. We moved a bunch. Some are in the front of the house now. Some are spread out through the garden. But these, yeah,
They are not doing well.
well, that's okay. What we've talked about doing is in one of these pots, maybe the pot we just moved, Lars.
Yeah.
Getting a lavender for that, because lavender in midsummer, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's very
And we have
Danish.
them actually out in the front of the garden. We will show in another day when it's in more bloom out in the front.
And they're doing really well, but that's just
They are.
sand and
Yeah.
concrete, warm temperatures.
Yeah.
They do fine. All right. Well, that looks better already.
Yeah. So I actually divide not only in autumn, which is a great time to divide perennials, also here in spring, before they start to really get in growth, they have the new buds coming. It's a great time for them you can divide if you have some empty spots, and it won't affect the flowering or the foliage. They will really do good. And one that we have a new flower bed here, and we have some empty spots. I want to actually divide some of these hostas, and you can be really tough with them. You can, if you have a clump, divide them. We had some in pots too. And to divide them, you can use a spade, a fork. I have this mix, it's called a spork. It's a mix between a spade and a fork.
Funny
Really
story.
strong.
Sorry, let me interrupt. When I was a young child in South Georgia,
Oh, here we
and
go.
we'd go to the KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and get mashed potatoes, they would give you a spork. So it's like
So it's not a new thing. I thought it was like new. And
no. So it's not a spoon. It's not a fork. It's a spork
It's a spork.
to eat your mashed potatoes from the KFC.
It just arrived to Denmark. We're so late to the party. Anyway, but I'm going to use this one. And then I just, it's really a good tool here. Loosen it a bit here first. You could do two things dividing. You could either just take half in the ground and take that part and leave the rest, or take the whole clump up. I'm not going to take the whole clump up. Just going to go around here. And then I'll take it up. Oh, it's not, and it's quite new established, so it doesn't have so many.
Yeah, we
big
just
roots.
planted this last year.
Yeah, but here you can really see, and it's a good, do it now before all the foliage come. So there's a time limit to this. It's good doing now and maybe another week in, for example with Hosta. And so I just take it, looks really tough, just here in the middle-ish, right in here. And ta-da, you have two clumps of hosta. One I'm gonna plant back in the original place, and then we have some empty spots here where I forgot to plant one last year, and it goes here. So that's actually really good. A lot of shade here, so we will have mainly hostas here because there's not a lot of sun. We do have a bit of grape ice here, the Perennial. Those are really cute, and they are up now. Give some pop of color before the hosta will take over the whole flower bed here. But that's a great way. Keep in mind, I will also water a lot here in the beginning if there's no rain, so they really get a good start, these hostas. But dividing spring and autumn, that's when I do it. So look what is color right now in flower. This is Lund watermilk. I really love this kind also because it has a long flowering, this lime yellow, but also the foliage is so dark. And the sister to that one is over here, is Miners Mulot. Also watermilk gets a little bit taller than this one. In the old days they used this watermilk because when you break it off, it will have like a milky substance, and they would use it on warts, but it's actually skin irritating. So I always have gloves on. I don't really play too much around with it because it could irritate your skin, but I just love the foliage here, and it gives so much color now to the foliage of other plants. And one of my super favorites here is the Brunera here, Jack Frost.
Look at those little flowers.
Looks like forget-me-not. A lot of people ask that. And look at our Dicentra. It has really come up, the bleeding hearts here. We have this beautiful white, can you see it?
I can, they're so delicate.
We just talked about actually today that it's a little bit lower than last year because we had so much rain last year compared to this year. We have had weeks and weeks of not so much rain, so it's actually not as high as last year, but I think when it will get some water next week here, it'll get a bit bigger, but the foliage is just really nice too.
You know, speaking of our tulips too,
yeah,
a lot of our tulips are in, but a lot of our tulips are quite shorter than they were this time last year. Isn't that interesting?
That's true, and I think it's because it hasn't rained a lot. So some of them are really like itty bitty, and then create the flower. So because I haven't gone and watered a lot these weeks, which I maybe should have.
Well, no, I think let them be low.
Yeah.
Because everything else is looking good. A little bit lower for 1 year is fine.
Yeah. And actually, just talking about, I just saw the Prunera here. A lot of people like, ooh, this one, isn't that such a self-sowing? I just love self-sowing perennials. Look at this baby Prunera over here and here. As soon as it has this one, when it has the first set of leaves, you can see it's a baby. Or like you can start to recognize when I have the first or the second set of leaves of the perennials. So all these need to move a little bit. You think we have way too many.
I don't think they need to move in the garden. I saw where you were pointing. How about out?
Like not
You're pointing to the
out.
street because
Maybe
that's where
to the neighbor. No, but actually, in front of the house we have tulips flowering now, and then with the mix of Brunera that are planted out there. That is, I love that combination. Brunera, blue Brunera, that baby blue, and with the tulip. Wow, that's pretty.
It's very nice. And now everybody can see that we did not finish the hydrangea back there behind us.
Oh, but we will.
We will. We just didn't want you guys to have to
Right
sit with us
this.
while we did all this.
All right.
And we just had a visitor drop off these pots because, what's it called, Lars? The Garden Association?
Yes.
Yeah. So the Garden Association of Fredericia is having two plant markets. That's what I'm translating in my head. Yeah. I'm not that quick. 2 plant markets, and they brought these off. We're going to put them with some soil, add in some flowers, and that'll be like a raffle, I think it's called. Yeah, a raffle.
That's true. Like we call it tombola, so people can win that, and people are welcome to come and put a stand up. So if you're coming to Denmark on May 3rd from 10 to 1 at the City Museum here in Fredericia, then come and see.
If you'd like to sell some plants, come on, we'll be there.
And it's all from homegrown gardens, so that's nice. We actually just want to show you this one, the quail here. Look at that.
Hold on, let me get down there. This one's very special.
Look at that. You can get them in purples and whites and reds and this pink here, and get this like kind of almost fluffy, but very hairy looking plants. The purple one is native to Denmark in the meadows, on the fields grown there. So it actually likes, and also very, you find it where it's very sandy, very rough soil actually. So maybe meadow sounds very wet. But actually places where it's very dry, and so I'm a little bit eager to see how it's going to do here, because we actually this year for the first time we added some new soil. Manure is really mixed. Texture here, really beautiful, but also to give the plants, first of all, to give some more nutrition, since we haven't done it in the 6 years we lived here. We have put chicken manure pellets out, but this one is also to give growth to the plant here before they really come up too much, and it also keeps the moisture, and it keeps weeds down. I took the weeds away first, a heavy weeding here, and then layered this. And then lastly, it just looks super pretty with this black soil.
It looks really nice. And we have to say that this is from our good friends at Farmer Gudning.
And it's like a Danish company. And So we have a bunch of soil we have to put out. We also got some seed sowing soil that I want to experiment because it's free of peat moss, which is really great. And you can track all the material that's in because it's a Danish company. You can track wherever it comes from. And we're actually going to take you one day there to visit the company. He promised we could come and see it. I'm really super excited for that. So we hope we can find a date for that.
I'm excited for that. I want to know how the compost is made, how all the soil is made.
Yeah.
I am very excited. So maybe quite soon here before the garden gets really busy, we can do that. But we do love to support a good Danish company.
And now, since you're filming here, look at the Longsworth. Here it's also native to Denmark. Early flowering. You can get it in dotted. We have one over here, and pinks and whites. And really great for the early insects. They come and buzz around in that one. Let's actually take them over. I really want to show them the one with dotted foliage here, since we have to go to the greenhouse anyways. I can learn.
It's not such a big garden. We love watching Garden Answer. Do you guys watch her? She's absolutely incredible. But her property is so big, so when she walks, I mean, it's just incredible. And we're like 2 steps and we're in the next part of our garden.
But we really love, like, look at this one here. This has like pinks and purples. I think that's quite unique, this one. Also self-sowing. I don't have it too many places in the garden, but just the foliage here is really pretty as well. And just with all the things are really starting to come up. But we did talk about, just in general, the perennials are not as high as where they were last year in this stage. But things are really coming up now, and all the spring bulbs are giving pops of color, and our little project here is getting along. We have some really pretty, the hydrangeas and things coming, so we'll plant some more things here.
And we even have things outside the greenhouse. Speaking of planting markets.
Tons of things, right? And let's go and see the quails. You want to go first? So here's the tiny, tiny eggshell of the quail here. And all 5 has hatched. And what I give them the first few days is actually just poppy seeds. And I boil a little egg to give some nutrition here, because the mom and dad, they eat like bigger seeds. And let's see, they're over here now. Let's see if we can find it. See if we can find them. See if they go. I'll get them out. There we go.
Oh, I can't get too close. And one's yellow.
Yeah,
Look at
yellow.
them.
2 is yellow. Look at them.
Aren't they the cutest thing? They're like the size of
Just hold one.
blackberries.
Let me hold one here. Let me hold one here. Yeah.
Okay, we're
They're
scaring the
calling for each
parents.
other.
Yeah, let's
There
put
you
him
go.
down.
Okay, here we go. They
Can you guys hear that with our mics on? You may have to put him down.
Yeah.
He's scared.
look, there's 2 yellows. There we go. Go.
Come on, buddy. Come
They
on.
just hatched last night.
Come on.
They're so tiny. Oh no, he's stuck.
We'll let the mom and dad get it. All right. I think they're a little... I didn't really want anybody picking up our son on day 1, so I think that's fine. And like the mom and dad, they'll get used to sharing the
Yeah.
space. But
We'll give them
lots
some
of
space.
stuff coming in. Wow. Anything you want to highlight? You're usually all
Oh yeah,
over.
actually here,
I
look at
knew
that.
it.
And
I
I
knew
know,
it.
I know,
I knew it.
I know I showed it in a big tray. But the verbena Bampton, look at that. And those can be in a clump. But,
Thank goodness. Because
but-
imagine if you had to take each one of these
right.
out.
But everything is just coming like, look at that. And you might wonder why is all this? This is Liatris. You might wonder, why do I have all this? It's because we have those plant markets, and we just meet with local people. Neighbors are coming. I have a neighbor that also has a booth. And just, yeah, we'll just have all these plants and share, and I think it's great.
It is very... In Danish, have we talked about the word hyggelig? You can say it better, Lars.
Hyggelig, yeah, it's
Hyggelig.
like cozy.
Like hygge, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a word we use a lot here in Denmark. I mean, I even use it. English is my first language, but there's nothing like hygge or hyggelig. It's cozy, but being in the greenhouse can be hyggelig.
Yeah.
Watching a movie can be hyggelig.
Being in the garden can be hyggelig.
A day at the
Yeah.
beach can be hyggelig.
Yeah.
Sitting with a blanket and a
Yeah.
cup of coffee can be hyggelig. Hyggelig can be anything.
Yeah.
So it's a very powerful word.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of hygge, I'm excited that this annual is still doing well.
Oh, yes.
Because that saves money, and saving money is hygge.
Yeah, right. Yeah, look at it coming. I'm actually going to put it out since the frost is gone, but that's really, Buddleja it's called, really pretty. This is also Tvillingeblomst. I'll remove this from, that's also an annual actually. I can do cuttings of it to get even more, but this is doing so well too. So those ones will come out on the terrace.
But we've been very blessed. We've just put these annuals, this is their 3rd year.
Yeah.
And 2nd year for this guy, I think, that they've just gone in the greenhouse and they have made it through. So saving money is definitely hygge.
Yeah. Okay, that was actually just Agastasia I want to show. Since it's really warm now, things are really coming. Oh, and actually I sound way too excited. But the hydrangeas, because they are...
You guys comment on how excited he is. It's really funny to me when
how
I read.
exciting. You've waited and waited. This has been months. They need cold certification, these ones. So they were sown in January. And they are germinating now. Also have the flumus here. Look at that one.
And that's a good question. Someone has asked Lars about flumus, and because they do take a long time.
Yeah.
So don't give up.
See?
They're
Coming
coming.
now. So that's a bunch, yeah. You would think an hydrangeas as well, like you think, oh, it's never gonna come. But trust me, it will. It's really coming. So things are just coming. I have some Agelae here that also sown, I would say 5 months ago, and they are just really coming now.
Isn't that pretty?
So we have a bunch of delphiniums I can start. Also, they are really just start to water a bit more. We have a bunch of here the hollyhocks. Those are, the goal is having mixed colors out in front of the black fence. It's going to be super pretty. Because I want the simple flowering one, the double ones that looks like peonies. The bees don't really go in it. So I want to like just a bunch of different colors, black, yellow, whites, just to make so it really fits to our garden. I'm super excited for that. And those actually looked small now, just 2 leaves. But they will have a small flowering already this year actually. So, which is really great. So maybe we should leave them in peace.
They're not chirping anymore, so I think they're calm
I think
again.
they're just
under. Let's leave them to it. Give them
Okay.
some family time.
Okay.
We've kind of lost the sun, but that's not so bad.
That's actually okay. And now we have to do real business. We have to finish taking all this off at the hydrangeas. We can't sit in the greenhouse and look at baby quails all day.
No, not all day, but maybe if we herb and finish this, get the last few butterfly bushes, I think we'll have time to go look at them again.
That's right.
All right, so thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you. Moin.